Hey everybody, Jason here for RPG of the Day 2019, day number 13, yeah, and today's word and prompt is mystery, and I don't believe I have ever run, excuse me, a game that was, a mystery. I mean, if you think about it, I guess most things kind of are a mystery because you don't know what's at the end, or you don't know what's going to happen along the way. But I mean, as far as like an actual game that is a mystery, I've never run like Call of Cthulhu type mystery, or like a whodunit type mystery, or anything like that. So I can't really say a whole lot about that in terms of gaming. I know that, excuse me, I'm so tired. It was a long weekend. I know, how you handle your players and things like that is a mystery, and how every game session goes is going to be a mystery. And you never know what's going to happen, and you never know what kind of crazy stuff the players are going to do. And coming from a mostly player's perspective, and not having GM'd much in the past 5 or 6 years, which is since I came back from my gaming hiatus, which was a dozen years long or so, 10 years long, or I don't know how long it was. But before that, I GM'd quite a bit, back in high school and just out of high school, and then have GM'd almost nothing since I came back. A couple little one-shops or one-offs here and there. A session of Foo. I did 1 or 2 sessions of Basic Fantasy. I did, I think, a little bit maybe of... Did I do any 5th edition? I don't know. But I've GM'd very little, so my idea of mystery is coming basically through a player's perspective rather than a GM's perspective. And I think running a mystery in general would probably be pretty hard. Like if you have to leave clues and solve puzzles and stuff. Solving puzzles, I guess, is one thing, but like if you really have to leave clues for something, say for example, like in a Sherlock Holmes type thing where the mystery is how do I want to say this? Like dependent upon, like furthering along the plot of the story is dependent on figuring out clues. I'd never thought about, I've always in my mind been like, okay, you have to solve these problems or these mystery, or these clues and things like that. Put these puzzle pieces together to figure out what's going on to further the plot along. And it's like, well, what happens when the entire, progression of a plot hinges on solving a mystery or solving a clue? And like, what if your players can't figure it out? Do you leave it up to dice rolls to figure it out? And then if the dice rolls fail, then what happens? You're just stuck, right? So obviously, since I had never ran a game like that before, that's kind of how my little tiny little brain kind of put an assumption as to how that worked. Not realizing that there are tons of other ways you can do things, and after listening to a number of podcasts and stuff about it, and reading articles and things like that, mostly listening to casts and stuff on YouTube or on iTunes and stuff. I apologize. I'm very sorry I keep yawning. I'm really tired. Rather than making all these things dependent upon your players figuring out a clue, figuring out a mystery type clue or a puzzle, or then relying on dice rolls to figure it out, and then if the dice rolls fail, then you're at a standstill. rather than that, make it to where, one idea that I had heard was make it to where solving the puzzle is always going to happen. There's no chance of you failing. The problem of solving the puzzle, or the problem of the puzzle isn't solving it. The problem is how long it takes you to solve it. Like, if you don't solve it in the first, in a few turns or a few minutes or whatever, or a few hours in game time, what happens in the meantime? Does the murderer get further away? Do the tracks start to fade and disappear a little bit till they get it figured out? Does the killer kill somebody again because it took you too long to figure out who the killer was, or how to track them down to maybe who the next victim might be? That type of thing, rather than making it an all or nothing thing, like, oh, well, either you figure it out or you don't figure it out and then you're stuck. Make it to where you're gonna figure it out, but it's just gonna take a little longer, and if the longer it takes, the more things happen. Like, you may figure out who the next victim might possibly be, and by the time you get to their apartment or their residence or whatever, the killer got to them, and then you have to find out who's next on the list, or maybe from the clues and puzzles of pieces of who has been killed before and where they've been killed and why they've been killed and what the connection is between these people. Then maybe you can figure it out. Maybe failure itself is a clue. Like, say you figure out who this person is and the person's gonna kill, and you don't get to them in time, but it leads to another clue as to who might be next. Well, getting to who might be next might also be another clue as to who the killer is, because you're piecing out what do all these people have in common, things like that. Obviously, I've never run a murder mystery game, so these are just ideas. I don't know for sure if they would work, but it's just an idea. But again, not hinging all of your success or fails on being stuck in an adventure, or stuck not being able to progress the story. Making it more along the lines of success or failure either slows or speeds up the plot rather than allows it to go further or stops it. And that could go, I guess, maybe other things that could happen and other things rather than just mystery. But since today's topic is mystery, that was my tiny little contribution to mystery, which is not much because I've never run a mystery game, and I'm so tired right now that I can't think of anything else to apply to mystery. So I apologize for yawning 100 times in the video. I tried to keep my ranting to a minimum, although it still went about 8.5 minutes. But thanks for watching. Thanks for watching all my videos and giving comments and likes and things like that if you've done that. If you haven't left any comments or done any responses or response videos, shame on you. Shame on you for not participating. Just kidding. I get shy too. And thanks for participating in RPGA Day 2019. And I hope you guys had a good weekend. Played some good games. Play some good games this weekend. And we will see you guys later. After I've had more coffee, I'm going to record another video on the way home today. So, see ya.